Hey yo everyone, and welcome to this week's Tower of God discussion. And this one was actually a suggestion. I don't exactly remember who it was suggested by. It was a little bit of a while ago, so I guess comment down there if you were the one who suggested it. But thank you. They suggested on one of my other Tower of God videos or something similar to it that I just kind of talk about the this isn't going to be part of a series or anything, but just talk about the different positions in Tower of God, what they do, what they mean, people from them. They didn't go into that much detail, I don't think, but I thought it was a good idea at the time, and I think this is a pretty good week to do it, because I think I got out everything I wanted to say this week in the review for the chapter. So for this, I'm just going to go over the different positions and explain them a bit and tell you what I think of them. So first up, I should probably explain the positions a bit. They are a person's spot or their job on a team, and a person isn't limited to one position. There's like people like Prince is a light bearer, but he can serve as a fisherman. Or say Kunran is a fisherman, but he sometimes switches with Novik and becomes a spear bearer. And there are people like Shiplisu or Hatsu, and they're both scouts, but Shiplisu could be a light bearer, or Hatsu could be a fisherman because of their skill sets. Even though they're scouts, with the skills that they have, they could fulfill those other positions if they needed to on a team. And another thing that I wanted to explain, so I looked it up more and looked more into it, is the fisherman thing that I brought up in another one of my videos, and the two different types of fishermen, because they're both translated the same as fishermen in English. But the two, excuse my Korean here, I wrote them down. Naksikun. And Naksikun is like... Naksikun is the fisherman position. That is the position fisherman, but then there's Naksikun Yul, or Iul. Naksikun Iul. I don't know how to pronounce these, I'm very sorry. But that is also translated as fisherman, but that specifies a person that can fulfill any position. That's an all-around, that's like an all-around fighter or climber of the tower they can fill any position on a team. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe in English we should translate one of them to angler instead. I don't know. I do think we need something to distinguish between the two. So first position that I want to talk about, we're going to talk about the 5 main positions first. And the first of the 5 main positions is fisherman. And the fisherman is the main offense of the team. They're the main fighters of the team, or main fighter of the team, and they typically fight close to medium range, and they typically use reels and needles to fight, but they can also use a variety of other weapons, like swords are pretty rare, but they occasionally use them, or hooks. I think hooks are probably in a similar... They're maybe not as rare as swords, but hooks are another one that they use, but not that commonly. It's mostly needles. With our main cast right now, some examples of fishermen we have are Boro, Chengblerode, or Kunran. And then a couple other ones that I think we know from... from Shiplisu's team, Andrasi Zahard and Anak Zahard are both fishermen. And then next position that I want to talk about, I think, is going to be Spear Bearer. I'll talk about Spear Bearer next. So there are 2 types of Spear Bearers. The first type is the short-range Spear Bearer that fights in melee combat using a spear, staff, or long needle to fight. And that'd be the position that Rack Wraithrazor is, of course. He uses his spear to fight pretty close range. He also throws it from a distance every now and then, so I guess... Sorry, scratching my face. I guess he's sort of an all-around type of spear bearer. And then the long-distance type uses weapons to snipe from a distance. And some can throw, like, it's said that some spear bearers that are super talented can throw spears for like kilometers away if they have the proper stuff on a lighthouse to help them target whatever they're throwing at. Examples on our current team or the cast that we follow of spear bearers are Novik or Rack Wraithrazor, and examples from other teams that we know are Alexei Amigo Chaz from Ship's team. Next up, we'll talk about Scouts. They say that Scout is the most dangerous position to have because you're often the first one to meet the enemy. Scouts have to observe and gather information on the enemy and or fight on the front lines with the Fisherman. Scouts typically use observers to help them fight and watch enemies, gather information on enemies, and they can use holograms and a technique called, I think it's blackfish or shadowfish, that allows them to bend the Shinsu around them and become invisible. And some scouts that we know from our current team are Daniel Hatchet, who I guess is more of a fighter type scout, Yao Miseng, who we know is an observer type scout, and Ed and Dan, who is a special type of scout called a speeder. Also from Ship Lisu's team, we've got Vespa, Ship himself, and Hatsu are all scouts. Next up are the light bearers, and they guide the team with use of their lighthouses. And there are two types of light bearers, the frontal type and the rear type. Frontal types, they gather information by fighting. They get in there and fight enemies, and through fighting them learn like what they can do. And two of those that we've seen so far are Liroro and Prince. And the rear type light bearer just hangs back and shouts out orders, collects all the information, and forms a strategy from behind the scenes. And that would be Kunagoro Agnes's type of light bearer. Some other light bearers we know of are Hayura, Rachel, Jaja, and Rowan. The last of the five main types of position is the wave controller. And the wave controller, they control Shinsu in a way that it's described, they can do direct like Shinsu attacks. They can do a lot of different stuff with Shinsu, so it's sort of like the magic aspect of Tower of God. Like we see sorcerer types. So it's kind of magic type stuff. But they're pretty much, even though there's a lot of different variation, because a lot of people can do a lot of different things with Shinsu, there are two basic types of wave controller. The offensive type, the striker that goes in there and fights on the front line with the scout and the fisherman, and there's the support wave controller that uses their abilities to help their team out through means other than attacking. Ones from our main cast that we know right now would be Hua Ryun. She's a guide, but she's also, as her, like, as a secondary thing, as her, like, I don't know, as her real position on it, I don't know, because guide's her real position. But, like, what she originally is beneath being a guide is a wave controller. Guide is just her specialization kind of deal. And so the guide Waryun is a wave controller. Then we've got Quattro Blitz, Sachi Faker, and Bomb himself. And from other places that from other people or teams that we know of from the past, we had Yuhan Sung, Fosen Kalore, and Lopo Biaren. They were all wave controllers as well. Next up, I guess I'll just talk about, I think, two special positions. There was the speeder that was Dan. We don't know much about speeders. Then there are guides, and they say guides can see the pathway of the tower. They serve as a team's leader, telling them which path to take. And the way that the guide works is that in battle, they generally hang back. They sense different things. They report what they sense to the light bearer, and the light bearer forms a strategy around that and delivers the strategy to the team. So the way I kind of see it is that maybe they can read Shinsu very well. They can sort of like see a person, because it's been confirmed they can usually see a person's abilities and power level by looking at them. So maybe they just see from the Shinsu coming off of them, they see things about them, or the way that they see paths is they're like, okay, this way the Shinsu looks sort of calm and untouched, but it looks like people have been this way, that sort of thing. So I think they can just read Shinsu very well. And the two that we really know confirmed so far are Hwa-Ryun and Evan Edrock. And it's also worth noting that Evan Edrock, when he first met Bomb, he couldn't sense the amount of power Bomb had. He thought that he was strangely normal. So it's interesting to see how a guide reacts to sensing an irregular. Or at least sensing a special irregular, or whatever Bomb is. I was wrong when I said 2 earlier. 3 special positions. The second one is Defender. The Defender is there to protect vulnerable members of the team, like the Light Bearer or the Spear Bearer. And I think the only Defender we know of so far is, well, in the current story, we got Hendo-Lock Bloodmatter, who will come around eventually as a Defender, but the only one we have in the current story is my man Akka Williams, and I've been liking Akka more and more as we go along, so yeah, props to Akka, he's the Defender. And last of the 3 special positions is Anima, and the Anima has also been translated as Subjugator or Breeder, so if Subjugator or Breeder shows up, then that just means an Anima, and they can control Shinheo, which are the special creatures that live in the tower and are Shinsu related. So they can control them through some means, and it's said that it's a sort of natural skill that a person has to naturally possess. And somehow they can build that skill over time, but a person that just doesn't have it can't learn it. And ones we've seen in the story so far are Angel, Verdi, Lopo Biaren, Yu Han Sung, or Sunwoo Nare. So yeah, we've seen a few of them in the story so far. And then next up, I think 4 more positions, and these 4 aren't really specific positions as much as they're things that they're abilities that people have, and because of these abilities they might be placed, or they might have a certain job on the team based on those abilities. First up is the Wand Salsa. And the Wand Salsa is a Wansel user. And Wansel is a technique that allows somebody to spin Shinsu and circulate it to make it stronger while still maintaining its ability. So the ones we've seen that can use that so far are Bomb and Mule Love, but it's been said that Yu Han Sung can use it as well. So the Wand Salsa are Bomb himself and Mule Love. Next up is the Dan Salsa, also translated as the Cutter in the line version, and that's a Dansol user, and Dansol is a technique that allows somebody to sort of teleport their Shinsu attack. They can create a Shinsu attack from a distance, and the only one we've seen use it so far is Kurudan, but it's also said once again that Yu Han Sung knows the technique. The second to last one is the Hwa-Yomsa, or Flame User, and the Flame Users can obviously create Flame Elemental Shinsu or turn Shinsu into a Flame Elemental attack, and the ones we've seen that can use it so far are the Blitz family, including Quant and Quattro, and the Yeon family, of course including Yeon Yiwa. The wiki, when I was reading up on all the different stuff and taking notes, it didn't have Akka up there, so I'm not sure if Akka's combustion ability counts as flame user ability or not. And lastly up is the Jian Salsa, and the Jian Salsa is the lightning user, and the lightning users we've seen so far are Liroro and Kun Ran, and also Kun Masheni, though we haven't seen her actually use it. and also Kun Edwan is one, though. Pretty much they just use lightning style attacks. So this was a bit of a quick discussion. Just wanted to explain some thoughts and explain the information we know on a lot of these positions. And if you want my personal opinions on any of it, I would say that Spear Bearer is my favorite position. I really like the Spear Bearers. Scouts are pretty cool too. Fisherman isn't bad. None of them are bad. They're all pretty cool, but I like Defender or Spear Bearer the most personally. So that's it for this week's discussion. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching. Like if you liked it. Comment down there. Tell me what you thought of it. Tell me what you thought of my thoughts. Tell me what your favorite position is and why. Subscribe for more Tower of God, One Piece, The Walking Dead, and a lot more. And follow on Twitter if you want updates on when I'm posting a new video or when anything needs to be pushed back. I thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.